Hi, it's Mark Cooper-Smith with Emon Shakoor, the founder and CEO of the Blossom Startup Accelerator in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And we are going to talk a little, first of all, hi, Emon. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here.
So we're going to talk about the entrepreneurial ecosystems in Saudi Arabia in particular, and then more broadly, what makes for a strong entrepreneurial ecosystem, which is something we're talking about outside of this video, and how can we take a look at some of those entrepreneurial ecosystems globally, compare them to what's happening in Saudi Arabia, and where do we go from here? And I think, Emon, you're really well positioned and knowledgeable to give us some insights, because you've been running the Blossom Accelerator in Jeddah for the past 3 years, and you've taken, what, 300 teams through your program and seen hundreds and hundreds more, right?
Absolutely, yes. So I'm definitely happy to be here and share some insights about what makes a great entrepreneurship ecosystem. I'm really proud to be Saudi. I don't know when you guys will be watching this, but tomorrow is National Day. بكرة اليوم الوطني. بس يعني honestly, Saudi Arabia has really positioned itself in a great way to offer many things to entrepreneurs, and it's a really great place to start a company. I think by Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, we were ranked second or third best country in the world to start a business, and I'm happy to highlight the why and why that is and what makes a great entrepreneurship ecosystem. And if you want, I can dive right in, or we can go into it back and forth.
I'd love to do that. Let me frame this for just a bit from the standpoint of some of the other things that we're looking at, and then we'll just kind of go where our conversation takes us. So when we take a look at entrepreneurial ecosystems in general, there are a number of pillars that we look at as being particularly important within these entrepreneurial ecosystems to say, okay, what is it that we can do that helps make our entrepreneurial ecosystems that much more robust? And there are a number of items, and I've done some research as well into this explicitly, that we look at, things like access to capital, access to big and growing markets, the right kinds of legal and regulatory environment, having folks that are there with the right entrepreneurial mindset, or you have to have that right mindset to take risks, to understand that. Having a broader set of resources, including resources like accelerators and law firms and all of these other elements that go into creating great startups. And one other one, perhaps the ultimate ingredient that's super important, is having the right kind of talent that can do it. People, intellectual property, those types of things. So those are some of the key pillars that we focus on and talk about certainly when I talk about entrepreneurial ecosystems. So using that as a backdrop, if you would share with me where we are in Saudi Arabia now, maybe even where we were just 3 years ago when you and I first started collaborating, and kind of how we've come, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing. The last 3 years, we've come a long way. I mean, it doesn't even feel like 2 or 3 years ago. There are many things that make up a great ecosystem, and I'll mention just a few of them because I want every single person who's looking to start a company or who already has to take advantage of them. So first, the communities that you're part of, and, the people that you know from your university. Universities are usually a great place where innovation happens, where R&D, research and development happen. So, when you're a university student and arguably you have probably less on your plate, less responsibilities, it's really a great time to start thinking about starting a business, and not just only thinking about it, but looking around in your community, directly in your university, amongst, especially now with COVID, e-learning is so huge. Online softwares that could, help, the online softwares that could help, communication efforts between Mark and I, and,
Right.
so when you're, so one resource is your university, and the professors there, that's a great place to start of thinking of new ideas and problem solving. From there, accelerators and incubators. So starting a business is already super difficult already as it is. So, going through an accelerator program or an incubator program is always advantageous. I mean, usually you really don't have anything to lose. Most accelerator programs in Saudi are completely free if you get accepted. They actually fund you and give you an amount of money.
Who funds those accelerator programs? I mean, how can they be free? Because typically here, of course, you have to pay for those.
Right. They're subsidized by the government or from different banks. Or if you are paying, you're paying a really small amount.
So,
But
so
I
I,
would definitely, yeah, I'll highlight them if
yeah, no,
you
so
know.
let me make one point and then go ahead and highlight. So one of the things that's interesting is I run into this a lot where people, whether it's from Europe or Asia or the Middle East, say we have to go to Saudi Arabia to launch our startup. And I mean, sorry, we have to go, well, they may say that soon. We have to go to Silicon Valley to launch our startup, right? We need to
Right.
go to the mothership, the most evolved entrepreneurial ecosystem. And one of the things that I point out is there are real advantages for you to stay in your home territory sometimes. And some of them are the types of programs like you're talking about. There's access to accelerators for free or subsidized rates. There may be access to early stage capital in grants or
Absolutely.
in prizes or things like that. And that money is just not really available in Silicon Valley. So what are some of the things that exist in Saudi Arabia in particular for entrepreneurs or for those who support entrepreneurs? And please do name some of these specific programs or where we can find that info.
Absolutely. So there's the 500 Falcon programs. They're very selective, but they fund you, and the program is completely free for those that are accepted. It's based out of Riyadh. Well, now everything's online, but essentially based out of Riyadh. There's KSA Taqaddum program, which is geared towards tech startups. They also give grants as well. So even, for favorably for many entrepreneurs, grants, it's essentially free money. And then after the program, you can also raise money from investors as well. I don't recall how much the grant amount is, but it was a good amount. I think somewhere around $30,000. And then other programs that we have in the country, if they do charge, they charge, from the private accelerators, like Blossom Accelerator, my company, we're a private accelerator. We charge a very small amount, around 500 riyals, which is around $133 for the duration of the program.
Right, that's
And
nothing.
it's a really great investment. And for
It's not a
anyone
great
who's
business model by you though, but it's great for all of the entrepreneurs.
we can go into the the nitty gritty of that, but I think
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
and I think at the end of the day, what's really special about entrepreneurship programs or accelerator programs is you can not go to one, it's up to you, but I think it accelerates your learning and the network that you build within, you get that accelerated, compacted in just a few months. Whereas if you're going to do it outside of an accelerator, you're going to, go around and, try to connect with people on LinkedIn. And now that there's no events, I mean, if you even if there were events, going up to people, for a lot of people, it's awkward versus if you're in a setting where you're essentially getting everything on a plate. And so that's the really unique part of being part of an accelerator program. And one of the best parts as well is meeting your peers, people like you who are building companies, so you don't feel so alone. And then, so we talked about universities, we talked about accelerator and incubator programs. Along with that, I'll talk about co-working spaces because it's a great way to meet potential co-founders, potential partners, potential people you could hire. It's places that you can, get new clients and land new business deals. There's a ton of great co-working spaces across Saudi Arabia. There's the Space, there's Vibes. And, I think, I'm sure people watching have been to them, but I think, there's the hot desk plans where, you like rent something for 800 riyals a month and it's pretty affordable. And then in addition, obviously there's the capital, whether you're raising from angel investors, if you're early on, and you're still in the ideation or prototype or, beginning revenue phase, you can raise from angels.
All right, so
And then
let
later
me,
on,
yeah, let me
yeah,
break in on a couple of these. In the 3 or 4
go ahead.
minutes that we have left, I want to let's do some kind of speed responses on this. So you were talking about, we talked about kind of the broad set of resources that includes co-working spaces. You just mentioned some of those. What are some of the other resources that are available, whether it's through your accelerator or other accelerators or law firms or whatever else? Mention 2 or 3 kind of key resources that entrepreneurs can access.
Yeah, absolutely. We help the company get set up from, they can come to us from ideation stage, and we work with a bunch of different law firms that for really reasonable prices can get you up and running within
So you'll
a few
often get kind of
days.
a fixed fee package to set up your articles of incorporation and your key documents and things like that, right?
Absolutely. And then all the learnings of, from, figuring out the idea to customer discovery to prototyping. And also, we also sometimes help connect you. We have a lot of founders who come who say, I'm looking for a technical co-founder. I'm looking for someone to be like a COO, and I'm going to be like the more of the CMO kind of
Okay,
figure. And so we
perfect. So we're
also help
migrating,
connect.
yeah, we're migrating now to talent, right? So how do you put that team together? Especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you don't have that network. How do you put your team together so you get technical and marketing, you get HR, you've got the finance folks that you need, the product people. Do you help with that?
So we help by facilitating introductions, but depending on the entrepreneur that comes to us. We get some people who are solo founders and just, continue being, they own 100% of the company. But for those who want to find co-founders, we help facilitate introductions. But we always also, we don't want people to rush into it because, a partnership in business is like a marriage. So we facilitate introduction. We don't want them to get married right away. It's good for them to work with each other to see, what they like and what they don't like about one another. It's a legal document that you're signing at the end of the day. But one of the things that we best help connect people with is finding technical co-founders.
Right.
And it's something that Saudi a lot of the times lack, the ecosystem lacks, where a lot of companies outsource the technology to places like Pakistan or India. And it's really important to find the local talent because there are amazing Saudi coders, but they're harder to find. So we have really great partnerships.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I couldn't agree more, by the way. I couldn't agree more. You may have technical outsource partners, but you need to have your technical co-founders. If it's a technology business, you can't outsource everything. You need to have your technical co-founder. You need to have some of your talent right there, talking to customers, solving problems, building the architecture. I so agree. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How about access to markets? So let's say that you've gone through that customer discovery, right? There is a plan. There is a bit of a guidebook to how to be an entrepreneur. Of course, it's what I do. It's what you help your companies do. So you've got your product. You've done some early work on product market fit. You've tried to figure out your basic business model. Now you have to go to market. One of the key elements of a good entrepreneurial ecosystem is access to a big and growing market. So you have that within Saudi, and then is Saudi a good platform for the Middle East? Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Absolutely. I mean, Saudi is one of the biggest for buying powers in the Middle East, where Egypt is higher in population, but the buying power in Saudi, it's really all the companies that are in the UAE and Jordan actually always are trying to open an office in Saudi Arabia. So in terms of buying power, I mean, it's always important to really study the market size. There's a lot of statistics available for Hayat al-Ihsa. So it's essentially like our entity or ministry that has a lot of the statistics. So if you're looking to start a coffee company and you're looking to see how many people actually want to, are coffee drinkers, or if you're looking.
There are a lot of those types of resources. I've done some work with Emon Shakoor, which also supports small and growing businesses as well as entrepreneurs. So there are those elements. All right, let me go to our last key topic.
Sure.
And that is, everybody thinks that part of being an entrepreneur is raising money. At the end of each of your cohorts, you have a demo day. You have angel investors that are listening. The entrepreneurs are hoping that somebody is going to write them that check for whatever amount it is. Tell us a little bit about kind of how that's evolving. And I've seen it evolve a lot in the last 4 years since I've been working in Saudi. How is access to seed funding and venture funding changing in Saudi? And how does that also interact with Blossom a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. We always invite different angels to our different demo days. I also sit on the advisory board of Uqad, which is Saudi Arabia's most active and largest angel investment network. They have chapters all across Saudi Arabia, in the Eastern Province, in Riyadh, in Jeddah, and they have demo days every single month. And almost every other week, we review startup applications that come not only from Saudi, from the UAE, from Jordan, from Egypt, from Lebanon. And a lot of them, like I mentioned earlier, when we talked about markets, are looking to access and enter the Saudi market and ecosystem. That process of applying to be a startup, you could either go to one of the existing accelerators, and then later you'll be able to pitch. If you successfully completed the program, you'll be able to pitch to one of those angels. Sometimes if you can also directly apply to the Angel Investment Network. So Uqad is one of them. There's another angel network that's just starting out called Women's Spark, that specifically has angels that are female and that are women. So there's a ton of resources, and how that's changing is I see a lot more angels really excited, and there are people that are older, that, you know, maybe don't have the energy to start a company again. They've already started multiple, but now they're looking to give back. So they're very active. They were very active also in 2020. I think I mentioned this before, but there was a study done by Magnet where between the first 6 months of 2020, so between January and June, Saudi investors invested more in these 6 months than they did in all of 2019, showing that despite the crisis, investors are investing, and VCs are the same. Obviously, if you are looking at a VC, you should be a little, a later stage, probably not as early. But angels, they're very, they have an appetite to take a risk. And I think one of the key components is having some traction and also having an amazing and promising team. The founding team should be promising, because I think early on, that's what angels are investing in, not only the idea, but the team.
Yeah, and let me break in. So, different types of investors as we kind of wrap this up. So different types of investors: angel investors, individuals who have the money to invest out of their own pocket. And oftentimes they're attracted to two things. They're attracted to the founder entrepreneur just because they like you. I mean, it really is. It's like, I'm an angel investor. I will only invest in a founder or an entrepreneur typically that I like, because I have also making a commitment, the second thing, to help mentor you, to introduce you to people in my network to help you be successful. So that's the early stage investor. Then you have that next stage as we look at ecosystems, which is venture capital, whether it's seed stage, it's still larger than angels, or whether it's growth stage. VCs are going to have a different, perhaps more rigorous process by which you have to pitch them, by which they do their due diligence. And also, of course, their primary objective is financial return. Yes, angels want to make money, but they're driven by other elements: the desire to mentor, the desire to help the next generation, an interest in a key area. Venture capitalists, they're focused on return on investment, ROI, just like many of you are going to be focused on getting the ultimate ROI from the investments you're working on with PIF. So as we look at reinvigorating, continuing to invigorate the entrepreneurial ecosystem within Saudi, and we look at capital as being a key lubricant, a key catalyst to help these startups grow and make positive impact, having PIF continue to provide capital, to provide resources to this community, to the Blossoms and Emons of the world, is one of those key things. Emon, thank you for joining us. One last time, if people are interested in connecting with you and understanding what Blossom's doing, where do they find you?
They can email us directly at info@blossom, blossom.sa. They can also check out our website, www.blossom.sa as well. And we usually reply back within 24 hours. We have our upcoming accelerator program happening online. And for anyone who's interested, they can just hop onto our website and apply. We have a range of other programs as well. And if you have additional questions, you can just email us and we will probably get on the phone with you the next day.
And I can say they will. And if all of that creates a problem, if you contact me, I will connect you with Emon as well. Emon, thanks for spending all this time with us, for sharing with us how the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Saudi is growing and expanding and quickly becoming one of those top tiers.
Thank you so much, Mark. It was a pleasure. And thank you for everyone who's watching.